right now we can also begin to invest in and also help grow the agri sector. Technology there is big. We've seen several youths that have created several apps that would bring a linkage between farmers and markets. Technology that can help you, like the Uber, where you can actually rent a tractor and use on your farm on a daily basis without you even owning a tractor. Or technology that can help you provide inputs on your farm, or the ones that can help you measure, determine the level of rain, or the level of rain you need on a particular commodity, or the level of the soil context that you need on a particular commodity. These are things that our new generation agricultural talent need to start looking at to help us increase productivity, and also that will help us improve the way agriculture is done these days. Examples are in East Africa, where they've gone far ahead of Nigeria in terms of technology and in terms of agriculture, because basically they're on candidates and they know it, but Nigeria is getting there on a daily basis, and also other EU countries, Israel and the likes, the UK and all that. And don't be surprised that even the richest man in the world today is a farmer. Is a farmer. So whatever sector, whatever industry you are playing into, agriculture is a sector that you cannot leave behind, because anything you do, definitely you will eat. Because I'm sure the host, before he came here this morning, he might have taken maybe a snack or probably a food before he even starts this. Those are important things that we need to put more consideration into. Everybody needs to eat, and it all depends on the farmer to provide that food that we eat. So jump into the next slide. I think that's the last slide now. So next slide, please. Now, why Nigerian youth should be involved in agribusiness. So I listed about 5 points there. Number one, agriculture matters to the future of development of any nation at all. That's number one factor. Number two factor is agriculture can be a gold mine. Actually, it is a gold mine, for any young entrepreneurs, because I see that today a lot of youth are also involved in the creative aspects, of the economy. We can also put that energy to also develop the agri sector. Yes, there will be challenges in terms of funding, but today we have several international communities that are helping us to provide funding, to support young agro starters and also young entrepreneurs. Then social media, that's the power of communication. Today we can use the power of social media to sell your agri produce. In terms of marketing, that's agri marketing. Use social media to sell your produce across the world. And everybody will see. For example, if you're planting vegetables anywhere in Nigeria, automatically with social media, you can put your content out, and definitely they will get it anywhere in the world. It's as simple as that. Those are the ICT tools that we use today to improve agricultural information. So every youth can create something out of it. We've seen younger folks that we've mentored, have used technology, that have used information from social media to sell produce to other international markets, and they've beginning to create wealth out of it. And the fourth one is greater use of information and communication technologies, digital agriculture, to help improve agriculture and also help improve our farmers' productivity. Today I wrote a book called The Rise of Digital Agriculture, and it explains the various tools that we can use to help improve our farmers, to help support our farmers, and also help improve what farmers need to do, guide them through. It's a guide knowledge that we need to start using today in agriculture, and also help improve productivity. And the last one is as a means of job creation across the value chain. As I said, agriculture is big. It depends on how best you can create wealth from an area of value chain that you feel is good for you, that you believe that you can create wealth from, and you understand very well. It's quite big. It's just about sitting down. What is the passion you have? How best can you begin to create wealth out of it and turn it into a business? And that is where agriculture works. I've been in the industry for close to 20 years, and I understand each of this value chain and how best you can begin to create wealth from this value chain. It might not be as fast or as easy as you all want. There'll be challenges, definitely, but at the end of the day, there is definitely a light. When you put your time, passion, and energy in creating something that you believe that can cause a changer and a disruption in the entire economy. Those you see today that have made it today in the agri sector didn't start today. They started years ago. They've been to the sweat, the pains, and the gains of the entire sector, of the entire industry. So it's not something that you can just invest in today and believe in the next couple of months or days you're going to start creating your wealth. It's not Bitcoin. It's not Ponzi. It's definitely a business. And one quality of a farmer is time, patience, exactly, the time, so that I can begin to earn and reap the fruits of your labor. So we always advise investors, look, despite you're working in a bank or a finance house or in an oil company, have something beside it called agribusiness that can actually support what you're doing, and also have it as an avenue of wealth creation and also job employment. So I think these are the simple analysis that I've been able to put together for this webinar. So, but I may not be available online to answer all the questions, but please drop the questions. They also send it across to me so that I can actually I could give a possible response and feedback to anybody that would want to ask any questions that regards what I just said. So thank you very much to the host, to Dana, to the Smartpreneur team. Fantastic job. And also to the lady at Talia. I follow a lot on IG. The work you guys are doing at Animos, developing smartpreneurs, and that is what we need today in Nigeria. Smartpreneurs. We see the likes of Don Jazzy, we see the likes of several entrepreneurs today changing the entire ecosystem, changing narrative. The Nigerian story needs to be changed, and agriculture is definitely a sector that narrative needs to be changed to. And it all depends on you and I to put that interest there, and also to help support the new agricultural talent we have today in Nigeria. So thank you very much, guys. I might be signing up very soon because I have to attend other conferences where I am currently.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Akinlabi. Thank you very much for the amazing session. Thank you very much for making us understand that you can do what you're doing and still be a farmer by the side. Thank you very much for making us understand that a lot of the bills, the government is also very much on ground to help entrepreneurs, to help farmers, people who intend to go into what we call seed farming. I said that the agri sector is the sector with the longest value chain. So if it's a sector with the longest value chain, it's also a sector with that accommodates lots and lots of job creation from storage to the markets to the farms, everywhere. So it's really an amazing sector. And you talked a lot about why a lot of young entrepreneurs, why a lot of just fresh out of school students who are very much interested and enthusiastic about agriculture should go into the agri space. Why? Because it's the future of development. Social media is also a tool that you can use in bootstrapping and fast tracking the whatever it is you're finding yourself doing in the agri policy on ground, that a bill on ground for seed farmers, and a lot is also being said about farmers headers clashes. I'm sure we've heard that, except if you're not in Nigeria. Even if you're living in the nooks and crannies of Nigeria, you definitely would have heard something about the headers and farmers clashes. But then that is coming to an end. A lot of technology in place. You have a lot of what's it called? You have drones set up in to monitor farms. You have drones set up in place to just fast track and enhance farming and make farming look very, very appealing to the eyes, way beyond what we used to know farmers to be. Thank you very much, Mr. Akinlabi. Thank you very much. Had an amazing time. So, dear participants, if you're listening and you can hear me clearly, you're not missed out on any of these. Just drop your questions, because why? We're definitely going to have time for question and answer towards the end of the show, and so towards the end of the webinar. And time for question and answers. Write them down, put them on the platform, and we'll take our time to ask our distinguished guest about what you need to understand about the agri sector. And you just heard Akinlabi. If you're just joining us, you're very much welcome. But for now, before we go to our next speaker, who is Ambassador Sam Afolabi, we need to go to for the keynote address. And what the keynote address is going to be taken by Tallulah Doherty Adetona. I don't know if I got that right. I don't know if I got that right, but I think I did. Tallulah Doherty Adetona, and she's the CEO of Smartpreneur. Don't forget, This webinar is brought to you by Smartpreneur, and it's also a product of Blue Africa. And if you're wondering what Smartpreneur is all about, Smartpreneur is a place where is a home for entrepreneurs, where you meet like minds and folks doing great stuffs in the Nigerian business landscape, great stuffs in Nigerian economy. So you're definitely going to meet like minds, just like as the religious book said it, iron sharpeneth iron. And so you need to understand that if you don't share minds with people who are within your space, share minds with Nigerian entrepreneurs, definitely, how are you going to forge ahead? Because with one, you can kill 1,000. But imagine what you're going to kill with 5 people, with 10 people, with 10 like minds, with hundreds. You're definitely going to meet them in Smartpreneur. And so you just need to stay locked, because why? We have the keynote speaker, who is Talula Doherty at Daytona, and she's the CEO of Smartpreneur. If you watch the show on TV, that's TVC, and other on also different radio programs, you must have heard her amazing voice, and you must have seen beautiful face on the screen of your TV screens. And so you just have to hear a lot about what this whole webinar is all about as she takes over right now. You're very much welcome, madam.
Hello, hi everybody. I'm happy that the video has finally worked. Thank you so much for joining us, Frank. Amazing job. I have to come and learn work from you. I feel like you've taken us seamlessly through everything so far. It's been a really informative morning so far. I loved Mr. Alabi's session. He took us through so much, and I loved hearing about the fact that innovation is really driving the agriculture sector in terms of the drones. In terms of apps, connecting producers to buyers, and also even in terms of what he told us about, banks being receptive to helping people who are new to the sector, to helping startups, whether it's grants or low interest loans, because I know that's often a really big concern for people who are trying to move into the agricultural sector, not maybe having the funds to hand. So the fact that he mentioned that banks are willing to give out those funds and are also willing to provide mentors, I thought was really, really interesting. This, Smartpreneur, I want to talk a bit about what Smartpreneur is for anyone who hasn't, watched this show on TVC before, or who hasn't seen our IG live sessions, because I know a lot of people are here because they want to know more about agriculture, but they may not have heard of Smartpreneur before. So what Smartpreneur is, we are a community, and we aim at bringing SMEs together. First of all, we aim to give SMEs and startups all the information that they need to thrive. So everything from funding to taxation to legal information. And a big thing that we want to do is we want to inspire. So we want to bring people from different sectors who have the experience, who have the knowledge. We want to bring them in front of startups in order to give these startups an advantage, instead of going the long way and doing a lot of trial and error. Our thing is we want to help you shortcut the entire process. So we want to give you, those little tips and tricks that you need as a startup and as an SME to ginger your business and to get everything going a lot quicker than it originally would. So if you want to connect with us more, the ways you can do that after this conference, we have a WhatsApp group. I believe the link to that WhatsApp group is pinned. So please do join us on our WhatsApp group. We've also got our IG live sessions. We're on IG live every Thursday at 5 p.m. And we have a different guest every single Thursday at 5 p.m. And you can also, wait, our website, yes, let me get it right, www.smartpreneurng.com is our website. Our Instagram is smartpreneurng. And I didn't actually know this. Okay, so there's actually past episodes of the TV show on the website. So if you haven't seen the show on TVC and you want to check out past episodes, please do go onto our website and you can check us out there. So I also want to key back into what we're doing today regarding agribusiness, understanding the trends and the opportunities. I want to implore everybody to really, to key into all the speakers, to take notes, and also to maybe write down the names of the speakers, so you can maybe, if you want to follow up, contact them later on, because the information being shared here today is invaluable. It's information that is going to help anyone out there who is looking to really be a future big player in the agricultural space. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank our speakers for very generously donating their time to be here with us. I want to thank them all individually. Mr. Akinwale Alabi, the co-founder of Corporate Farmers International, who just spoke. Thank you so much, sir, for making time. We know you have a very busy schedule on this Saturday morning to come and speak to us and everybody who's interested in the agricultural space. And I also want to thank the speakers that we're about to hear from. Ambassador Sam of Afolabi, the CEO of Eat Rich Farms. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us here today. Mr. Adama Adama, the CEO of Farm for Me, who's come on Smartpreneur Live on Instagram before. So thank you so much, sir, again, for making time to speak with us today. And also Mrs. Edobong Akpabio, the CEO of Visionage Agritech Farms. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being here with us today, for sharing your knowledge, for sharing your time so generously. We're truly grateful. Thank you to everybody who's given up their Saturday morning. I know Saturday mornings, the sleep is very sweet, but you've given up that time to come to be here with us to learn more about the agricultural space. And it's something that we really, really don't take for granted. We're so grateful. So that's it from me. And I hope to be seeing everybody on our various Smartpreneur platforms. And I hope to be able to connect with everybody a lot more. Thank you so much. Frank, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Talula Dohatia Daytona. Thank you very much. You just heard the keynote address from her. She talked a lot about the fact that you need to key into lots of opportunities in the agri-value chain, and also you had what we have lined up, and also what you need to understand about Smartpreneur. Smartpreneur is a place where you meet like minds, where you learn a lot about entrepreneurship, and you meet people, you share ideas. You never work alone as an entrepreneur once you join Smartpreneur. And you heard a lot about the TV shows and the Instagram lives. And if you're watching us from Instagram, if you don't know right now, you can follow us on Instagram at Smartpreneur NG. And also you could also make the session an amazing one, make it a pretty much interactive one by sending your questions as well. You can send your questions with the hashtag Smartpreneur Webinar, and you can also have the hashtag Agribusiness and hashtag Agribusiness webinar. So all of all these hashtags can make it very much interactive and can make us narrow down our search so that we can see what you're talking about, and just make a buzz around the social space, and just make us create the awareness, make people know that something big is happening in the agri sector, and something big is happening right now. And the next speaker we have on ground right now is Ambassador Sam Afolabi. And Ambassador Sam Afolabi is a tech enthusiast, and he's an amazing investor, a brilliant one, and he has like 13 years experience in entrepreneurship. A lot of Gen Zs right now think entrepreneurship is all about you sow now, you want to reap now. No, you just have to exercise some patience, because why? This is someone who has been there and has done that. 13 years, massive experience in entrepreneurship, and also is a philanthropist. As a smart investor, he currently sits as a member of the board of some Bible tech startups in Africa, and while also being the CEO and founder of 6 global growing companies, and Richverse 360 Limited. He's also the CEO and also the founder of Matify Supercenter Limited, Brandify Media Limited, and also the Chief Executive Officer and founder of Africa's fastest rising agri-tech company, Eat Rich Farms. And so he has a vast experience around the agri space, around the agri sector, and you just want to sit back, you want to listen and hear a lot, sip from his cup of thoughts. At least you'll be able to understand what it takes for you to go into the agri space, and what it takes for you to weigh the cost and also know the opportunities before you go into the agri space. And so we have Ambassador Sam Afolabi here, who's the CEO of Eat Rich Farms, and he's going to be telling us about the cost of financing and sustaining an agri business. And so if you want to find out what it takes you to go into the agribusiness, for you to be able to finance, and we're talking about money. Ego, kudi. Everyone is always interested about money. I mean, very much interested with money, very much interested about money. So as well yourself. And so you want to find out what it takes to finance agribusiness, and also what it takes for you to sustain the business, not just starting, but sustainability is also the key to almost all industries. And agri sector isn't going to be left out. And you're very much welcome, Ambassador Sam Afalabi.
Okay, amazing morning to everyone. Thank you very much. I hope I'm loud enough. I don't know. My voice is a little bit cracked. Okay, I had a very long night, so my voice is a little bit cracked. Beautiful morning to everybody watching from all parts of the world. I want to start on our existing protocols to all our organizers. Thank you very much for putting this together. I mean, every time we do, I see organizers put events like this together. I just but not appreciate them because it's a lot. I mean, from the follow up to, I mean, I can imagine what there's. I mean, to get this to happen. So, for all our viewers, for all our participants, I mean, you must really appreciate the organizers of this event. For me, as a speaker, I genuinely do appreciate the organizers of this event. I don't know have the entire names, but all the management and staff of Smartpreneur, thank you very much for doing this. God bless you. Okay, my name is Ambassador Sam Afalabi. I rather like to address myself as that on the go-to farmer. I've been doing farming for 18 years actually, full time. I mean, I started full time in 2010. So, but I mean, I've been doing farming for 18 years. I would say I've been doing farming in my life because I mean, my parents almost till now are still farmers, and they are not abstract farmers. You know, our generation farmers are the funky farmers. They are the ones that actually pay the price of agriculture. I know how my mom. Yeah, I know how my mom would go to the farm as early as 5 a.m. in the morning, and she's 70 and she still does. We have shouted as a mom, you go and rest at home. She said, no, if I don't go to the farm one day, I'll be sick. And they have built a lifestyle of going to the farm in the morning and they're dealt late in the night. So they are the ones that really pay for agriculture. We are just here right now and enjoying the dividends of agriculture. And I mean, so it's just basically how it is anyway. For every industry, there's a phase where some people build it, and there's a phase where some people are really cashing out. Just like you look at the entertainment industry right now, our old time entertainers, the way they put in their very best to build that industry. It's not the way some young entertainers just make one song and then they are signing multi-million deals. So I mean, it tells us that it's growing. Same way with agriculture, and the young people now begin to look into that space because our fathers have really worked at and built that industry, and it's time for us younger generations to really look in that space and begin to make good money. I'm going to start my session by just sharing one of the reasons why agriculture is the next big thing. I was on TV yesterday and I was sharing that agriculture is the next big thing, and one of my colleagues said no, it has always been the big thing, and I agree. Agriculture has always been the big thing, but I need to emphasize again that now agriculture is the next big thing. Just for the sake of those who don't understand, agriculture is the next big powerhouse in Africa. So I won't mention, for the sake of non-disclosure, that we signed a particular British brand reached out to us and was asking us to make a particular agro supply. And as a core businessman in my head, before I even think about value, I mean, of course, everybody says they are doing business to add value. Yes, we agree. I thought about profit. And when I saw what I was going to be making monthly, it just blew my mind. I have never done that kind of capacity of profit. I mean, think about doing a business that gives you $500,000 in profit every month, and it's a 5-year contract. Just doing supplies, $500,000 every month. I'm not talking about revenue, I'm talking about pure profit. Just doing supply of an agro product. And the woman looked at me and told me, Sam, this is just one of the products we want. We want 4. Our company wants 4 of these different products. Can you even meet demand? When she gave me the figure of the metric tons she wants to supply per month, it just jumped at me that agriculture is aggressive. And we have not even scratched it at all. We've never scratched it. That's just a digression. I know that's not really my topic. I just want to emphasize while everybody should understand, because people see agriculture and what they see is a guy going to the farm and getting dirty, you know, and everybody's like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And it's interesting to tell you that I tell you the figures in agriculture, you will be blown away. If I tell you, I have never been involved in a deal that gives you $500,000 I'm not talking about revenue. The pure profit on our transaction per month is $500 million. Not
Mm.
500 million naira. I'm not talking about naira. That's sorry, $500,000. Pardon my choice of word. Half a million, $500,000. That's pure profit every month, and it's a 5 contract. That tells you that the industry is massive, massive. So I want to. My topic today is the cost of financing and sustaining an agribusiness and how farmers can access agri. And I must say to you that thank you very much for giving me this topic, because the topic is,
Very welcome.
thank you for giving me, because it's like my story. Let me take you back to my mom. Permit me to use as case study, because um I remember back in those days, 12, 13, 14 years ago, how my mom would go to, those of you that Yoruba will understand, there's a particular line they use. They call it Bomulelanta. There's a particular loan that they take that they cannot rest. If they take a loan today, every Wednesday they must pay back. So they are restless. Once it's Monday, my mom's high blood pressure is rising. You will see her that she's restless, she can't sleep. She's thinking about to
Yeah.
pay back every Wednesday, have to pay back loan. And it's been and she went through that cycle for years. So she's in this loan, she's in that loan, she's trying to, and guess how much you were taking? Maybe 100K there, 70K there, 150K. It wasn't even a major money, but then that's all they had to make to do business. And it's always stuff. It's always stuff. So I can tell you now that our younger us now, it's a lot better. I mean, we don't have to go through that headache. There's a lot of financing platform that makes this job easy and all of that. But back in the days, it was tough. And that's more reasons why my young people should embrace agriculture. So let me just run through my slide. If you can put on my slide, I just run through my slide. I'm not a slide person really. I'm a core farmer. And I was telling the other man, I'm a local farmer, but she said,
Yeah, you can go
put on
ahead.
slide.
No problem. We have the slides on ground.
So please just put on my slide, and I can just run you through quickly my slide. So the cost of sustaining and financing agribusiness. I want you to understand that when I mean cost, I like to break down cost into three parts. It's not just money. When I say financing and sustaining agribusiness, so there's a financing part, there's a sustaining part, because those are the two keywords in this my topic: financing and sustaining. Because some people are putting so much money into agriculture to start, to finance, but they might not be able to sustain. So my emphasis is not just on financing, but also sustaining the agri business. While you're trying to fix up the back end, let me just start by telling you a bit of my story in the agri space. And it's been, and I tell people it's been 10 years of core full time. I've been doing agriculture full time since 2010. So it's not even 10 years. It's been 11 years now, 11 years full time. And it interests you that my background is marine engineering. I mean, so my mom often make a joke and say, how would a first class marine engineer leave marine engineering to go and do, I mean, best graduating student in my department, best overall student, how would I leave that to go and do agriculture? And every time people ask me this question, my answer is the same thing. I want to rewrite the agricultural story, especially what I saw my mom went through. So I wanted my mom to see that agriculture can be profitable. And that is why I left marine to say I want to do agriculture, because my mom went through a lot in agriculture. My mom, I'm not joking. I would even my mom. So all kinds of agriculture, from poultry to piggery to crops. There is no part of agriculture that my mom didn't really do. None. My mom can pass as a full-time fledged, and guess what? She's just a local uneducated woman. She just doing it to raise her kids. She just trying to survive. It wasn't like she did it and say, want to make money out of this. My mom, all through her career, if there's a word like that in agriculture, never bought a car. Never bought a car, never bought a bike. It was that bad. But she did everything she could in agriculture, from crop, everything I know about agriculture today, from crops to livestock to agro trading. And these people are the encyclopedia of knowledge of agriculture. But unfortunately, we don't even know. They're not even teaching it, because if my mom opens her mouth, she can do 10 years straight talking about culture without breaking. That's how much they know about culture. So I mean, and these people didn't really enjoy dividend agriculture, but I mean, it is what it is anyway. So, all right, I'm glad our slide is up now. So let's go to the cost of financing and sustaining an agri business and how farmers can access agri loan. And I'm going to start by really saying I said I appreciate you for sharing this, because this is my story. Let me share this with you. And I'm a practical person. I hope I'm permitted to share this.
Why
In
not?
2015, there was a program called ESP. ESP was the first initiative agriculture by was the first son of our president. And during President Jonathan era, we have what we call a UN, and some people participated and got funding for the agri business. And then
Yeah.
we had the current president, his first tenure. They rolled out an agri initiative called ESP, Youth Entrepreneurship Plan, something like that, ESP, or something like that. And so And it was a rigorous process. Some of us, then there was no wave of agri-tech and crowdfunding and all of that. Some of us were just doing agriculture. We were struggling. We were struggling with it. So I went through it, and out of maybe 100,000 or 1 million people that applied, they were able to shortlist to a thousand of us, and it was a ridiculous, crazy process. Trust me. And after 8,000 of us were shortlisted, then back and forth again, they were able to pick 100. And the 100 of us that were finally shortlisted, we had to go to do a 3-month course online. It is have to be on the farm. I rush back home. There was internet. It was really crazy. And then after a while, they took us. We were in Lagos again. We did Lagos Business School, and we did another in-class training. And after all of that is done, it was time for us to disburse a 5 million naira, just 5 million naira loan. And we waited and waited and waited and waited. It was that crazy. It was really crazy. I mean, I don't like to see the case because we're live and I don't know how many people are watching, and I don't want people to tag me. Something happened that was really ridiculous. You won't believe that. Let me skip it. But let's just say we waited. Let's just say we waited and waited and waited, and we didn't get access to the fund, and it was that terrible. Now let me tell you why it's bad. Someone who has been, it's better for you to train a man than training and you're not equipping him to practice. It's better for you not to train him. So we were trained and we're left hanging. It was very terrible. So some of us had that bitterness. So you know what happened? Those who have the zeal to go into agriculture, because we were trained, they had the energy, they left the entire farm, they were doing training, and after being trained, the resources to go into practice were not in place. It was really painful. I can bet with you that maybe just 2 or 3 of our particular batch are still practicing agriculture. It's very bitter to go through that training and promise funds, and you have access to funds. And so for some of us, for me, I said to myself, this will be one of the reasons why I must succeed in this space, to tell this story, to encourage younger people to say, regardless of whatever it is you've gone through, you're going through, agriculture can be profitable. Let's jump into my slide. I'm going to be as fast as I can be so that we can allow Q&A and can allow some of other speakers to do. I also understand what they call information overload. So I'm usually very careful not to give you too much information, so that we don't give you too much information, and then where do you start from? So agribusiness can only thrive with the right mentality, the zeal, a technical partner, and a financial partner. So I want you to understand that it goes beyond just money. People think that all you need to do agriculture to succeed is money. No, money is the least on the agri value chain. Yes, money is very, very important in any business, but trust me, as much as money is very important, is what I call a technical partner is very important, and your zeal. Let me give you a typical example. One of our farms in Lagos, my fish farm in Lagos, the farm manager is somebody who has 28 years fish farming experience. 28 years, even much more than I have. So even though I have the money to set up a farm, a big fish farm, if I don't have a smart technical partner, farm manager who has 20 years experience, you know what? In my Lagos farm, I hardly go. Sometimes the only time I go is harvest time, twice a month, or let's say twice in 4 months. That's how much I don't even go. I have the right. Yes, it's a structured farm with CCTV cameras, then a whole infrastructure. But if I don't have a technical partner who is smart that can run it, I would have to be going back and forth to the farm. Do you understand? So as much as finance is very important, a strong technical partner is very important, and above all, the zeal to do it. You can have the financial muscles, you can have a technical partner. If you don't have the zeal, I'm going to be a farmer, you're just going to drop out. Do you understand? I was sharing with my friends or my staff yesterday. I said I have a farm in those states where my farm is up until now in that village. There's no electricity in that village. There's no internet. There's no mobile network. So anytime I go to the farm, if I'm out of the world, I'm out of the world for 2 years. For that time, because there's no access to internet, there's no access to electricity, there's no access to anything. It's just like I'm out of the entire world. So it takes zeal to be able to do and go to your farm and spend 1 month. There's no internet, there's no network, there's no lights in that village. But now there's no light. It's a dark. There's no light. So it takes somebody who is zealous to go and I stayed at that farm for 2 years. No light, no internet, no light. The only person that has a small apartment generator is the ballet. The ballet is a local, and we have to recharge once a week. So you come, you charge. Once you charge, it's next week before they can allow you to charge again. Wow. So you can imagine. I'm telling you that I was on that farm for 2 years. So it takes zeal to do it. Yeah. I hope you follow me. So next slide. Okay, next slide. Are you sure this is my slide? Have you not missed it up? Okay, zeal. So let me just read up. To succeed in agricultural space, first thing you need is zeal. It's a process to make money from agriculture. Unlike other buying and selling businesses, it takes time. There's a time to plant, time to weed, a time to water, a time to harvest before you think of sales and profit. So it takes zeal to wait. Farming is the only business that has a longer turnaround time. So if you are doing cocoa farming, you wait 5 years. You wait. I mean, you either wait or you don't do agriculture. That's it. You keep watering, you keep weeding. So James Allen Lynn would say you can't travel within and start without. The success of an agribusiness is largely dependent on the mindset of its governors. It takes zeal, how far you can see and strive for becomes the reality of your business. So are you ready to wait? Are you ready to give all it takes? Just like I said, I had to go and stay on the farm for 2 years. Are you ready to stay on the farm for 2 years? Because that's what it takes to become a successful farmer. Some people look at me and say, oh, you're a billionaire farmer today. My brother, the billionaire farmer is not, it took 18 years. 18 years back in 2003 in Ibadan when I used to have a vegetable farm. It took 18 years. So can you wait 18 years to become successful, become a billionaire at it? That's the question. So if you want to become a billionaire at it, you are going to have to wait for 15, 20, 18 years. If not, maybe you should explore that space. But if you want to do agriculture, it will take time. It really will take time. Next slide. Okay, I'm talking about a technical partner. A technical partner is needed to manage the day-to-day activity of the farm. Farming requires a lot of technical know-how. The success of a farm relies greatly on the farmers knowing season, if crops and animal plant. It's just basically saying you need a smart technical partner. And I've explained. I gave an example of the farm, and this is what I do usually when I want to start a particular line of a niche in the agro space. I get an experienced and not a passport, and I get somebody who has done it, been there, done that. So, for instance, we're going to do. I have one of the largest greenhouses in Southwest on our farm, and you know what it costs to set up a greenhouse. Right now, a greenhouse farm costs one house costs 6 million. So, I mean, when we have 60, can you multiply the figures? Do you understand? And now, if I don't get a smart hand, multiply 6 million times 60. So it would be stupid of me to set up a greenhouse without a super smart, experienced technical partner. So my greenhouse consultant, is one of the best in Africa, not even just in Nigeria. I took out time to get who is the best greenhouse person in the whole of Africa, trained abroad, trained in Kenya, understand what it takes to greenhouse. That if he sleeps and wakes up and coughs greenhouse, and that's what I got. That's what I got. So I'm a very, very, very heavy on having a smart technical partner. I mean, I understand in this part of the world that co-foundership and all of that can be a little bit dicey because you don't know who shares your mind, like who has like minds like you. But trust me, agriculture cannot be done alone. If you can't get a co-founder,
speaking of like minds, it's not so difficult for participants who are very much on board. Like we said, smart entrepreneurs. You can find smart entrepreneurs and smartpreneur.
And that's why they should be part of this platform. I mean, that's why I give it platform. Exactly. I wish I'd seen this platform long before now. Maybe I'm not skilled even bigger than this. I mean, and that's why
following us at smartpreneur.ng.
Of course, I am following already. I'm following on Instagram. I'm following everywhere. I'm following aggressively. I'm an aggressive follower now. I want to learn a lot. I mean, I was in the Facebook live here on Thursday. I even though I was busy, I just breezed in. I watched for like a few minutes and I breezed out, and it made sense. It really did make sense. And I promise you have a follower right now. As much as I'm busy, I'm always find time to watch your live videos and follow as often as I can be. So I was talking about technical partner. So you need a super solid technical partner. Let's move to the next slide. I kind of emphasize these points. I mean, then finance. Depending on how you would like to call it. Some people call it finance. Some people call it finance. I mean, at the end of the day, it's money.
Yeah.
Finance is the blood of business. We all know what happens when blood is short. What happens when blood is short? The person will collapse. Then go get seizure. Then go get what they call pardon my choice of language. I'm saying PG, just for the sake of those who are not. So person way in blood don't short. In the end, they go where you take kaput with that. Anytime we in blood short, they kaput with that. So what it means that when you have a short of blood, you are doing the part of dying. That's what happens to business. Business that the blood is short, invariable dies. There are different sorts of finance for agribusinesses. Back of industry, we know. I mean, so all these things are, if you just Google how to finance my business, the days of where I have to tell you these things it's something you already know. I just have to remind you. There's Bank of Industry, there's Bank of Agriculture, there's crowdfunding, there's personal savings, there's commercial banks, there's inheritance. I mean, people throw away the fact that it's also good to. That's why I encourage parents build an empire that your kids can inherit. If People have said so much bad about inheritance, and it's very wrong. Inheritance is a good source of financing anything. Think about it. Think about Jeff Bezos. Think about Mark Zuckerberg. Think about Elon Musk. Think about what they will have left. Think about Richard Branson. These guys have built an empires that their kids can leverage on, and they can. So imagine if a Jeff Bezos son wants to be a farmer. Just think about it. If a Jeff Bezos son wants to be a farmer, think about the platform. Think about the expertise, the network the father has. You know, network to everything. I mean, they can literally just shut down the world if Jeff Bezos' son wants to be a farmer. I mean, can you imagine that? So inheritance is a very good thing, and I think every parent should begin to look in the direction of having inheritance, even if they don't want to do what you do. I mean, you have built a platform for them to have enough resources to do what they want to do. So you might probably think that my kids will not want to do agriculture, but if you have built a successful agro empire, your kids can say, I want to do media, I want to do art, I want to do journalism, whatever it is you want to do with what you have built. Think about it. Imagine if your son wants to be a journalist or want to be an OAP, you can buy that son an entire media house.
Very true.
You can say, what's the biggest TV station in Africa? I want to buy it. And then make your son the number one OAP on that platform. That's the power of inheritance. The microfinance banks, venture capitalists, angel investor. I'm going to spend more time on crowdfunding. Interestingly, all of this space, I'm from inheritance, and inheritance is a space I've not played. My parents, unfortunately, were not rich. Please go back to the slide before you go to thank you. Yeah, but I want to emphasize on BOI, back of industry. A lot of people think that back of industry is not accessible. They are actually accessible, and that's why I talk about technical partner. Get a consultant who understand their language, and let them engage. Let them help you set up, put up your documents, ever approach them. So back of industry have accredited consultants that they listen to. So it's better for you to work through the accredited consultants. Same with now, personal savings, I mean, you understand, just begin to put something aside. The commercial banks, commercial banks lately are now very accessible. If it's okay to recommend, I can recommend Sterling Bank. Sterling Bank is one of the best banks that are really accessible right now. In fact, the art of Sterling Bank, agriculture is the key for them. So, I mean, we currently have a partnership with them, and they're currently sponsoring 100 farmers. They are fully funding them. Who are doing the training? They are bringing the funds. We have been able to do the phase one of this project. It's called Sterling Bank, Swing, youth and female youth and all of that, empowerment and all of that. And so I strongly recommend Sterling Bank. They've been amazing with us since we started the journey. And I mean, they've come to, and then they've been able to sponsor. Right now, and there are a lot of banks. I'm not saying other banks are not great. I'm just saying we have a relationship with Sterling Bank. They've been great to us. So I recommend Sterling Bank for any farmer who wants to think agriculture. They should think Sterling Bank. Sterling Bank really, really cares about farmers. I must tell you. They even reached out to us to say we want to empower 100 farmers. We want to give them agri loans, and then just train them, and that's what we did. And we're already discussing to do phase 2, phase 3, and all of that. So commercial banks are very, very credible lately. They've been, back in the days, people say you can't get a loan from a bank, but now they are more accessible, and they don't have a choice because fintech companies are already beginning to give them a run for their money. So why they are saying we don't want to give, some young fintech companies are already giving funds, so they don't have a choice than to look at our businesses and give out funds. Microfinance banks, yes, a lot of them now are powering. A lot of microfinance banks are really powering, and fintech companies are doing. VCs are, we've had brands, companies that are raised funds from VCs and all of that. We're also closing our first major round. We literally decided not to do anything that comes to funding till we hit a valuation that makes sense. I mean, in valuation, we've been valued at over 4 something billion. So we just told ourselves we're not raising funds until we be able to do some figures, so that we want to raise funds and raise something, because we're already big already. So if you want to raise funds, it has to be. I mean, you can't offer me $5 million right now. I'm not going to take it. That's how we. So the least we can raise, and you have to have a valuation that can attract VCs but for every farmer you can start on a small scale. You can raise you can even start by pre-seed. You can raise a pre-seed of $10,000, as small as $10,000. It's a lot to put in your business. I mean, you can say $10,000 it's not money, but $5 is enough. I remember, like I was sharing with you, if I had access to $5 at 2014, it would have pushed me a lot. So $5 is a lot. If you, and in this common dispensation, as a startup farmer, it will go a long way to set you up, and then you can now scale and do your seed, and then you're around your seed, you're around one and all that. So VCs are already looking to Africa and looking at culture because they know it's the biggest thing right now. And angel investors are people that will say, I see you, I see your energy as a young man, or I see both of you, maybe you are co-founders, and they are saying, okay, we're seeing the energy you have, we're going to try out this $5K, try this $10K, just go and try it out and see what you come out of it. And if you're able to succeed, we can blow it up. So let me stay on crowdfunding because that's where my forte is. That's what we've done in the last 2-3 years and been able to scale. In the last 2019, we started full-time crowdfunding, and I must tell you that I would say that well, we've been able to crowdfund well over 4 billion in terms of what we've done. So if you have access to 4 billion to do business, you can imagine how much that has been for you. It's very, 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 very huge. It's huge. And I mean, and this industry is still on the top. Yes, I'm glad that we now have regulations because of the so many people that have come to the space to do all kind of things. I'm glad that regulations by SEC is beginning to put a lot of put in check, so that we'll know those of us who are real farmers and those who just want to cash out. So
very true, very true. Especially
I mean,
crowdfunding. A lot
yeah.
of there are somewhat of some scams around crowdfunding. So how do you think people can be careful? Anyways, we're going to talk about a lot about that in the question and answer section.
So let me just do a final wrap on my slide, like I said, and then counting the cost, not 500. After you polish, that's clean up and pack. Think about the difference. The profit is 800. Am I right? That 800. Now the turnaround time is almost 24 hours compared to a farmer that would have to raise the layers for like 16 weeks or 18 weeks before they start laying. Meanwhile, you just go and buy the eggs, and then in 24 hours you package, and you are making 100% profit compared to somebody that will wait and make maybe 20% profit. So agro trading is the next big thing in agriculture. It's an untapped good mine. Everybody's thinking, everybody's saying fish farm, chicken farm. Nobody's saying agro trading. Agro trading is bigger than even this farming itself. Super big.
The truth is you can't even say that enough. Trust me, you can't say that enough, because a lot can be done from the markets. And I've always seen a lot of enthusiastic entrepreneurs, agropreneurs, who just want to head straight to the farm. Everybody wants to head straight to the farm. But then in Sena climes, you have 3% of the population of that country feeding the whole 97%. How do they do this? You see, you go down to the other aspect of the value chain, to the market, to the market. You leave the farm for the big boys in the industry. And so a lot can be done in the farms, while a lot more can be done from the markets. And so this is what a lot of agripreneurs need to understand. Thank you very much for this. Thank you very much for this, Ambassador Sam Afolabi. We can't have enough of your value. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Our next speaker, who is also a fantastic person, is going to be sharing a lot about what we need to understand about the agri sector, who's Mr. Adama J. Adama. He's the CEO of Farm for Me and is one of the leading agro investment companies in Nigeria. And he will be speaking on agro investment insights and trends in Nigeria, like farming without farming. Like what I said, I talked about the fact that as a farmer, the narrative is changing in the agri value chain. Now, when I say the narrative is changing, you necessarily don't need to go to the four walls of the farm, or you don't need to own a land for you to become an agro investor, or for you to be an active player in the agri value chain, for you to be an active player in the agri sector. So all you just need to do is to get involved in some of all these agro investments. And how do you get involved in this agro investment? We have Mr. Adama J. Adama. He's the CEO of Farm for Me, and he will be guiding us through as to agro investments and the insights and the trends with farming without farming. That's just it. farming without farming. So you could have your 9 to 5 and also be a farmer. You could be on your suit and tie and also have a plot of land in the nook and crannies of Nigeria and also actively participate in the agri sector. So you just want to sit down, relax, because why? You want to earn while others farm for you. Who doesn't want that? I want that. I'm sure you also want that. So just sit back, relax, and listen to Mr. Adama J. Adama. Adama J. Adama is a fantastic man. He's the founder and director of Western Business School, and he's a graduate of Human Resources Management from Zenith University College, Accra, Ghana, a neighboring country here. And he has been actively involved in entrepreneurship since 2007. Trust me. This is someone who has been there and done that. He's the founder and CEO of Farm for Me and also eliabresti.com and the CEO of Viblex and the president of Asha University. So someone with this vast knowledge as to what it takes to be an entrepreneur. And Adama has also worked briefly with CBN Entrepreneurship Development Center, because CBN is the cash cow of every economy. So he knows what it takes for you to deal with money. He knows what it takes for you to go into agro investment. And also he managed the CBN Entrepreneurship Development Center, that's the Northern Central Zone, Makurdi, and he has also taught at the Faculty of Abuja Enterprise Agency, and currently teaches website development and digital marketing in Salem University, Lokoja. So he has wealth of experience as to what it takes for you to be an agro investor, as to what it takes for you to be a farmer without a farm. Well, you're very much welcome, Mr. Adama.
Thank you so much, Mr. Frank Fagbo. It's a pleasure to be here. I want to thank the organizers of this event. And Blue Smartpreneur team. I've been sitting here listening to all the speakers, and it's been an insightful webinar. I've learned a lot. I give it to Ambassador Sam for his transparency, his honesty, and his insights into the sector. So I would like to talk briefly on what I call building the next generation agribusiness infrastructure.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so that's what I'll be taking you through today. And basically, I'll dwell more on what the future holds for us, and what how we are planning to get there. Yeah, so the next slide, please.
Okay, the next slide, please.
You already know what agribusiness is. In summary, it has everything to do with production, everything to do with logistics involved in moving farm produce from farm, to the storage facility, from farm to market. It has everything to do with exporting. It has everything to do with food processing. In fact, in summary, the business of agriculture, Yeah, so let's move on.
Next slide, please. Yeah. All
right, so the past 5 years, and when I mean 5 years, I'm talking about from 2016 to this very moment. We've had a couple of creative entrepreneurs that have come into the scene and blazing the trail. The likes of Farm Crowdy leading the crowdfunding innovation, our own company, Farm for Me, pioneering contract farming, the likes of Kobo 360 leading the digital logistics space, and AgroHaulage, being particular about the haulage, the agro produce haulage business. So we've had a really great time in the agribusiness sector in the past 5 years. A lot of youth are now showing interest. The next slide, please. All right, so basically, there's nothing that starts without having challenges. Every sector has its own challenges, and agribusiness is not left out. We've had a lot of people showing enthusiasm. We've had a lot of agri-tech companies rising up every day, and it's a good thing. Digital agricultural investment platforms all over the place. And there are challenges. Talking about COVID-19, it affected some agri-tech companies last year. They couldn't pay their investors, and then there's this challenge of Security and Exchange Commission coming in to overregulate the agri-tech companies. Even though their intentions are genuine, there are a lot of fake guys out there collecting people's money, running Ponzi schemes and all of that. But how they'll go about regulating it leaves so much to be done. I'm of the opinion that stakeholders like agri-tech companies that are already in the field should be consulted widely before they come up with the final adoption of the framework they intend to execute. We look out for that space, but my fear is that let Security and Exchange Commission SEC not over-regulate the agri-tech companies and then stifle the innovations we are talking about. For instance, with what they are planning to execute, Ambassador Sam may not be able to raise another 4 billion naira for all the plans he has if SEC comes in to over-regulate the industry. Yeah, so we have a bit of challenges there, but that doesn't stop the growth. You know, it is a crucial tool. Agribusiness is a crucial tool that aids economic growth. It was analyzed in 2015 to provide small-scale employment to 65% of the poor to average working adults, and in 2018, agribusiness contributes greatly to global GDP in both less developing countries and developing countries, and that trend will continue for a while. Please, the next slide. All right, so lately from 2016 going forward, we've had a few innovative entrepreneurs who came into the space. We've had Farm Crowdy, like I first said, Farm for Me, Thrive Agri, Agro Partnership, Farm Sponsor, VibeWest, and others make available agricultural investment options to the public, and in turn employ smallholder farmers to carry out their farming operations in large scales and clusters, as well as enhance farmers' loan to farmers who are unable to benefit from the federal government assisted loans for farmers. I'll use Farm for Me as an example. We've attracted some good funds, and then we've used that in engaging in our contract farming projects. I won't be that liberal to share figures like Ambassador Sam, but like we've received huge funds and then we've channeled it into primary production of farm produce. And what that means is that imagine one farming project cutting across all the value chains. You have to buy, lease a land, the landowner get paid. The people that come to clear the land, that's a land clearing company, get paid. The people that operate tractors get paid, and then the planters and several other people that are engaged in the entire farming activities. And at the end of the day, you sell to food processors and other off-takers, and then pay back investors their capital and their profit. And for more than a year, getting to 2 now, we've been consistently paying our investors without failing. A lot of people have been very grateful to us that through their investment on our platforms, they've been able to marry, they'll be able to build their dream houses, they've been able to do things that they didn't imagine were possible in the past. So we are grateful for the opportunity to serve, and then several other partners are also doing that. So the challenges are there, but that will not stop innovators from innovating. So where do we go from here? There are 3 things we'll do: invest, build, and attract. And that's where I want to put all my efforts in. Accessing funds to do agriculture is not just the main thing. Thank God for crowd farming, but there's need for an institutional approach to attracting investment in the space. Like I itemized there, we need to invest in farm equipment. An average tractor cost is 12 million naira. We need to acquire at least 400,000 tractors, to be able to serve over 20 million smallholder farmers in Nigeria. And if one tractor costs 12 million, and then you are getting like 100,000 tractors, that's like 1.2 trillion naira. That's the volume of investment that can a bit solve the need for farm mechanization in Nigeria. There's also the need to invest in trucks. We are privileged as a company to run our agro haulage platform, where we have trucks, we have trailers that move farm produce from farm to warehouses, from warehouses to major markets across Nigeria. And I want to tell you that it's a space that is capital intensive. I'm beckoning on all viewers that are listening to me right now, watching me right now, to see the need to invest in this critical infrastructure they are talking about, trucks especially. The average cost of a complete truck, that's a trailer, is about 25 million naira. And then if you have, for it to cover a country as big as Nigeria and make impact, you should be thinking about having like 10,000 units of trucks, you know. I want to tell you one thing, that the reason why food is very expensive in urban centers in Nigeria is because of the logistics that is involved, you know. Moving food from one point to another in Nigeria is not easy at all. You know, food is very cheap in rural areas, but to move them from rural areas to urban areas is very, very costly. We run the business, so we know what is involved. When you're moving goods from, say, Kano to Lagos, that's when you know that bulk of the income will be swallowed up by expenses. There's need to invest heavily in trucks to handle the logistics involved in agribusiness. It's very, very critical. If you have 10,000 trucks, it will still not be enough to serve the entire country, but it will be a good starting point. And there's need to invest in that. And the next thing to invest in is we need to invest in warehousing. You know, one major reason why we have post-harvest losses in Nigeria is because we have little or no warehouses to store foods. I mean, modern day warehouses are well ventilated. You know, before now, Nigeria used to have silos and all of that, but they are moribund. They are not that effective anymore. So to build a critical infrastructure that is needed to power our produce storage system, there's need to consciously invest in warehouses to build new set of warehouses. And we have a projection. There are about 30,000 federal roads in Nigeria. And out of these 30,000 federal roads, our vision is to have a warehouse on the, you know, that veer off the federal road a bit, but like on that federal trunk. In every 5 kilometers, I want to have a warehouse. The implication of that is that we'll need to build about 6,000 warehouses, you know, to be able to service the food distribution needs of Nigeria. It's not a small feat, because if a warehouse goes for, say, 50 million naira, that's what our projection is. We'll need, when you're doing 6,000, you should know that what that means. The figure is there in the screen. So these are the critical infrastructures that we need, you know, to be able to allow agribusiness thrive. You know, it's one thing to do crowdfunding, it's one thing to attract microfinancing, venture capitalist fund, and all of that. But there's a need for conscious effort to bring in partners. Government is a major partner in this building of this critical infrastructure. You know, donor agencies are major partners. Venture capitalists are major partners. Talking about the truck, we are looking at 250 billion worth of investments to be able to power the agro haulage space. You know, so the next thing is warehouse. Please, the next slide, please. All right. So, like I was doing the analysis, if you are to build about 6,000 warehouses across all the federal roads in Nigeria, that will cost about 300 billion worth of investment, billion naira. Okay. So now coming to this point, we have no other way to go than to come together as a country, come together both as individuals and corporate entities to say, okay, fine, let's consciously invest in agribusiness and build a critical infrastructure that will make it thrive. You know, there are a pocket of opportunities here and there. There are agri-tech companies, digital agricultural investment platforms doing their bids. But that will not, in a way, it will only scratch the surface. There's need for a conscious investment in the agribusiness sector. And it's when we invest in tractors for farm mechanization, when we invest in trucks for the logistics around moving farm produce from farm to warehouse, from warehouse to market, and when we invest on setting up modern day, well-ventilated warehouses that can, help us manage post-harvest losses, that we can start talking about food security, that we can start talking about giving dividends to our investors, that we can start talking about a country whose agricultural sector or the agribusiness sector will contribute greatly to the GDP. At Enadama Group, we are making conscious efforts to attract investment in this direction. We have already started building some of this infrastructure and only hope to scale it. And if you're out there watching me, we could team up and make this happen. And even if you're out there, please let's dream together, set up your company, and let's address these critical infrastructural needs. And with that, we'll go far. I would like to stop at this point and be ready for the question and answer session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Adama Joseph Adama. You talked about investment in general. So if I have my 10,000 naira, citizen B has his 100,000 naira, citizen C has his 200,000 naira, we can all come together and have a pool of funds where we can draw out some capital to invest in tractors, also invest in trucks, also invest in warehousing, at least to reduce the post-harvest losses and all, at least bring a deficit to that, at least attack the deficit of the post-harvest losses we've been having in the country and all that. And 250 billion naira investment is a massive one. It's a massive one. If we need to go there, and a lot of things is happening in the commodities market, if you look at it, a lot of things are happening in the capital market as well. So why can't a lot also be done in the agri sector? Why can't a lot be done using companies like Farm4Me, just like you said, to just enhance investment, to just make sure Nigerians are actively involved in investing in the agri sector? It's a fantastic one. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. 6,000 warehouses. Wow, 6,000 warehouses. If we can have that in this country, I'm very sure, because if you go to major markets, you always see wastages from the agro products. Go to Mile 12, go to Yanoba, go to different major markets in Lagos here alone. How much more other states? So how do we warehouse all these things and get the best out of it as a passive investor in the agri sector? So our next speaker on ground is the only female speaker we have as part of our panelists, and she is an amazing woman, Mrs. Edobong Apabio. Mrs. Edobong Apabio is an agro entrepreneur by vocation and also a business consultant by profession. So she's the CEO of Vision Agro-Tech Farms, and she has developed the knowledge and interest. She has developed knowledge. She has huge interest and passion over the past 30 years. And so in human resources management, business consulting, entrepreneurship, and also she has a zeal to help entrepreneurs grow their business successfully. So it's one thing to have your business, it's also another thing to be able to pass knowledge, to be able to consult for people who have blood vision as to what to do next, how to do it next, and when to do it next. So she's always here. And Mrs. Edobong Apabio, you know what they say about women? Women are naturally made to birth ideas. Women are naturally made to multiply things. And she's also here to multiply ideas, to make us understand the how to navigate the terrains of the agri sector. And you don't want to miss out on any of this, because you know women and teaching, they know how to pass this knowledge. They've also been teaching us for years. So you don't want to miss out, because Mrs. Edobong Akpabio is right here. You're very much welcome, madam.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Is it afternoon already?
Yeah, few minutes, just 2 minutes, I think so.
Okay, so
yeah.
Still good morning.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to be here. It's a wonderful day.
You're very much welcome.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the wonderful speakers. I've been listening since morning from Aki, and I've been so excited about what is happening at Smartpreneur NG. Last year, when the COVID-19 pandemic arrived,
Yes, please.
It was a wake-up call for the agribusiness sector because it unraveled our soft belly.
Yeah.
Many of us were not prepared at all. It's either we didn't have a good understanding of what was going to happen, or we were probably just careless. But when it arrived, it hit us with full force. And many businesses were shut down and are still shut down as we speak, as a result of that. So it's something that we need to enlighten our community about, especially in prospective agribusiness entrepreneurs. We need to talk about the risks and how to manage the risks in agribusiness. So I'm very happy to talk about this topic because I spent a lot of time last organizing tweet chats with experts in different aspects of managing risks to help us in the agribusiness sector. And I am glad that I learned a lot. It also positively impacted my business. So we'll be talking about managing risks in agribusiness. The first thing we would like to ask is, what is a risk? We hear risk everywhere, but what is a risk? A risk, we will simply describe it as an event, a possible event that can cause harm or loss. So for us as business people, a risk will be that possibility of harm or loss that will not allow us to achieve our objectives, our business objectives. So for instance, you buy a vehicle, for your business, and then a vehicle has an accident. This is a risk that the vehicle may be involved in an accident. So that is a risk. So risk involves the uncertainty of when that event happens, what is going to be the likely effect? How will it affect your business? Those are all the things that have to do with risk. Now, this vehicle is very valuable to your business. You needed it to be able to move stuff around. You needed it to be able to do business, to make money, to provide value. And that vehicle is likely, to be involved in an accident. What are the implications? So it's always very important for business people to think about it. I'm sure if we spend some time to think about this, because risk is something that every entrepreneur has to capture in their business plan. It has to be captured. So if we are conscious of the fact that our businesses have risks embedded in them, I think it will make us to be more conscious of managing those risks. So risk also includes considering the degree of that loss. If that vehicle has an accident, how will you be able to continue the business? If the business has an accident and can be repaired, what are the costs? So risk not only has to do with what the event that has happened, the probability, it also has to do with the degree of harm or loss of that from that probability. So that is why we have to manage it. The moment we are conversant with the risks in our businesses, we now prepare to manage it. In the business language, we say we prepare to mitigate it. So risk management, you will have to identify the risks. You have to evaluate the level of loss that it can cause, the level of harm that it can cause. You have to take this priority. There is a risk that if it is a total loss, this is what it will cost. If it is a partial loss, this is what it will cost me. So you prioritize this. And you don't only do that. That is the first part one. That's the part one of managing the risk. Part two is for you to have a plan to be able to minimize this risk, to be able to monitor your minimization procedure, and to be able to control the impacts, the unfortunate impact. So it's important for business people to know that running a business is not a joke. It is a serious activity. So risk management is very key. Otherwise, that business that you spend so much time, you put in so much resources, it can just go down the drain just by something you did not even think about.
Yeah.
So we look at the risks in the agriculture sector. Globally, these are areas of potential risks. in the agriculture sector. And agriculture is not just farming. Agriculture, farming of crops, there is crop, there is livestock, and various other levels of even the crop and livestock. But when we are looking at agribusiness, which is what we are looking at today, we are looking at the entire value chain, the risks in the entire value chain. So even as you're looking at this slide that may be looking at production levels of the value chain, we are going to cover as much as possible the other areas for which this picture does not seem to address. So we have production risks at the level of production. So whether you are in the farm or in the processing facility, there is something you are producing. You are producing a good goods, or you are producing service. There is also market risks that have to do with when you are out there. So there are risks in the market. There are financial risks, institutional risks, and human risks. So let's take the production risk. What is it about the production risk? It relates to the possibility that production, your yield or your output level may be lower than you projected. So let us even go to the farm. I mean, when you planted your cassava, or you plan to plant cassava, the estimated outcome was that you will get 20 tons per hectare. So you went ahead and made farming. The risk there is that, will you get that 20 tons per hectare? There's a likelihood that it may not be so. So you have to identify everything that will make you not to be able to make that 20 tons per hectare. And some of the risks, for instance, in farming, is adverse weather. When you have flood, you just pack everything out of your farm. When you have droughts, that means your crops are not getting sufficient nourishment from water. That means it's going to dry out. In countries where they have snow, it's very difficult for them to cultivate any crop during winter. So that is an adverse weather. It doesn't allow you to do that. And then when you have excessive rainfall, it may not be flooding, but excessive rainfall also has a way of affecting farming. So you look at it also in your other activities. Is it in your livestock activity? Is it in your processing activity? Is it in your logistics activity? Is it in your supply activity, your service provision, all of that? What are your production risks? So also in the farm, you will see that production risks are also insects. In East Africa, for more than a year now, they have been battling locusts, ravaging farms. So those are risks you cannot control, or you have to be able to find a way to mitigate. So what about diseases, of your livestock or your crop? Those are all the risks that you will are likely, for a farmer to face. And then you look at some other risks. For instance, unavailability of equipment, very crucial equipment that you need, they are not available. Or you have them and then they have a problem, you don't find anybody that will help you to repair it. It can be very frustrating, but that is a risk. So production risks are in all levels of the value chain. And every agribusiness entrepreneur must identify them and find a way to mitigate them. So how do we manage production risks? For farmers, you need to follow good agricultural production practices. There are good agricultural production practices. Many farmers don't have training. This is one industry that everybody just thinks they can come into. And it amazes me, why people would just think that farming is easy. It is not easy. Agriculture is not easy. So, like every other profession, you need to have training. There is training for farmers, there is training for every other level of the value chain. So when you follow good agricultural production practices, you are likely to mitigate the risks, when they come. Then if you're a farmer, you go pest or disease-resistant species of your crop or livestock, so you lose them, when those risks, occur. Risks like flood, risks like disease, risks like pests, you will discover that sometimes if those species have been developed, to be able to withstand those unforeseen events, they can stand the test of the risk. Then you deploy innovative technologies. If you're in an area that has persistent flooding, you can decide to do your cultivation using greenhouses and other technologies that will not be overly affected by excessive rain, excessive sun, climate change, and all of that. Then you adopt precision and climate smart agribusiness. There is precision agribusiness, there is climate smart agribusiness. Whichever one that is going to be useful for your business, adopt it. Go out there, take advantage of the training programs and adopt them in your business. Follow GMP, good maintenance practices. Sometimes we always live with that impression that why do anything when it hasn't broken? Don't wait for your equipment to fail. If the manufacturer has provided for service procedures, follow it so that you get the best out of your equipment. Then insurance. We talked about insurance a lot last year. A lot of farmers have issues with insurance. Oh yes, there will always be issues. There will be issues of availability, there will be issues of accessibility, there will be issues of trust and all of that. But you and I know that insurance provides one of the best risk mitigation for businesses, and agriculture must be seen as one of those businesses. So we need to embrace insurance. We need to go out there and get insurance cover for those areas of our business that insurance can cover, so that those unforeseen circumstances do not tank our businesses. The marketing risks have to do with finding the market for your product. Sometimes you just think that just bring out your product and there will be a market for them. It doesn't work that way. Sometimes you might even have the market and something can just happen, to that market. Or it could be that the price that you want to sell it, people are not prepared to buy it at that price. It is a risk, because when the sales are low and you discover that you're not getting the kind of income that you want, and anything can happen. Sales could be low, or prices could be fail as a result of other competing products. You think that you were the only cock crying in the market until you went and discovered that there were other cocks there as well, and people preferred those ones. So you just as areas of risk that you have to be conversant with. And then marketing risk can also arise because the person that was buying from you has relocated or has closed the business. Look at what happened last year when we had the COVID lockdown. All the hotels and restaurants were locked down. And many poultry farmers who were supplying eggs to those businesses did not have where to sell their eggs. We were watching with shock how eggs were being buried because they could not be sold and they had gotten bad. So those are risks. Those are risks. Sometimes it could be that your product does not meet, required standard. So those are risks that you may face in your business, and you have to recognize them and prepare to mitigate them. How do you mitigate marketing risk? Develop a realistic marketing plan. Sometimes I have the opportunity to review plans, business plans, marketing plans for young entrepreneurs, and I am amazed at some of the faith they have. I know it's faith because they have some very fantastic forecasts, but they are not realistic. So you have to develop a realistic marketing plan. Join a cooperative. Cooperatives are good because when the broom, is very thick, it's very difficult. People like to work with those, and they get the advantage, in pricing and guaranteed markets. A company that knows is looking for volume, you always want to work with a group of people, a cluster. Join one so that you also will take advantage of their pricing and the stable pricing and the guaranteed market. Increase your direct marketing efforts. Use multiple channels. Don't rely on one single market. spread your business, to other areas than that old reliable that you have been only dealing with. If for any reason that customer closes business or relocates to Canada, what happens to you? So that is why you cannot afford to tie yourself to a single market. Enter into sales contracts. That's what another thing we had to consider very quickly with the COVID pandemic. That look, we have products and we want to supply to consumers. We can decide to enter into sales contracts so that our prices are stable. It may not favor us sometimes, because if the price is high in the market and we are having a fixed pricing with our customers, we will have to abide by the contract. But overall, it provides us with sales, which is what we really want. So if you do that, you are assured that your products will not, will be bought, because you have where you are going to sell them. Then spread your production over a period. Don't do everything in January. Look at peak period of your business. Look at glut periods of your business. There will always be peak and glut periods of business. That is something that the pure water people do. The pure water producers, they are very conscious. They produce more during the dry season when the weather is hot and people drink a lot of water, than during the wet season when the weather is cold and people do not drink a lot of water. Go through your business, go through your procedure, and find out which is your peak period, which is your glut period, so that you are able to use it to determine your production cycle and your storage requirements. Because during your peak, especially if your product is not the kind of very perishable one, you can even store. And you have to store, in a conducive, provide a conducive storage facility, so that your product will still be good, as at the time the customers will need it, and there are high prices when there is a peak period. So conduct market research. Many agribusiness entrepreneurs do not conduct market research. Is one of the best ways to understand your customers. You will understand their needs and you will understand their preferences, so that you don't go to the market and discover that your competition has done something that you didn't do and your customer prefers it. And market research is not just a one-off activity. You need to do it from time to time. You need to continue to touch base with your customers' needs and preferences. Financial risk. There is a possibility that you may not have sufficient funds to meet your obligations. So you have to buy, from suppliers. You have to pay salaries. You have to buy fuel, maybe for your generator, to pump water, provide lighting, heating, and all of that. And for some reason, you may not have sufficient funds to be able to do all of that. That's a financial risk. It could be caused, by increase in the cost of input. Right now, prices are going so high, where by January, the cost of fertilizer we had in January up to the end of February rose sharply in March and has kept rising. So a situation where you are caught in the increased cost of inputs, it's possible that you will now spend more, than you had budgeted for, than you had kept, more money than you had kept, and it will affect, your cash flow. So it could be because of high interest rates. At the time you took a loan, the interest rate was this, and then they now wrote you a very nice letter saying that, oh, sorry, inflation has gone up by so percent, so we are increasing interest rate by so percent. That means you are going to pay more, for that loan that you took or the loan that you're about to take. It has a financial risk. And then also maybe you had borrowed a lot, so you are torn in many places in repayments. It's a financial risk. So if you do not have adequate cash in reserve, if inflation is unfavorable, you are in trouble. You are in trouble. It will affect your business because it will affect your ability to do what you need to do. How do you manage financial risk? Develop a strategic business plan. And review, if you had one, review it. It's very important because sometimes situations arise. We had to review business plan, and we touch base with our business plan every 3 years because we want to be able to look at what we've done, what we were supposed to do, how we have achieved that, what do we need to do now, is the current situation, and all of that. So it's not something that you just do like a calendar and paste it on your wall. No, it's a document that you need to continue to review. So when you do that, you will discover that the current situation that your business has found itself, you might need to work a little bit more on your business plan, make it more strategic. Monitor your financial records. If financial institutions tell us that SMEs don't keep records, one of the biggest problems they have with SMEs is that they don't keep records. So if you don't keep records, how do you know the financial health of your business? So you have to keep record, monitor those records, and tie it to your business objectives. What did you want to achieve? Have I achieved it? What do I need to achieve it? Do I have it? Those are some of the things that will guide you in managing your financial risk. You keep your expenses low and you increase your revenue. Maybe you need to add 1 or 2 more products or services that you did not imagine. For instance, when we discovered that production, when we just finished, for instance, now we finished planting, we are just now waiting. We now said, no, we can't continue like this. Our bills are still on. We added capacity building, we added training and capacity building, we added consulting. So during the period, we are now providing a lot of training, and then we are also providing capacity building and consulting. So what we continue to see that we are getting income, for the business while production activities are still going on. Look at your business again. What other thing can your business do to make income during this period? Because these are very, very trying periods indeed for agribusiness. Build good relationship with suppliers. One of the things that I always tell people, and which I do, is to have a wonderful relationship with my suppliers and service providers. What does that do? In times like this, that money is tight, I can get items from them and pay later. So that doesn't put me under a lot of pressure. So maybe I have an immediate supply obligation. I get the item, I supply, I get the money, and I pay them. So that allows me to be able to execute, the transaction, rather than going to look for money to pay them to be able to do the transaction, which I didn't have at the time. So it's very good. But when you have trust issues, maybe they have tried it with you once or twice and you failed, they will not want to release any items to you. Same too with funding providers. You can go sit with them and say, you know what, can you just suspend the interest for now? Let me just pay, the main loan without the interest so that I can pay off the loan. They probably will grant you if you have, you have been faithful in other contracts that they have with you. So it's very important to be able to use that to manage your financial risk. Consider leasing or rental. If I want to buy an equipment and it's like 2 million naira, and yet if I should lease it for the same period, it's going to cost me 200,000. What will I be doing, with 2 million? So I would rather go lease it and then spend a little money and still do what I want to do with the machine. And when I have 2 million, I can now go and get, the machine for myself. But sometimes we don't even consider that. We are like, oh no, I don't want to borrow, let me go and buy it. And you spend a whole lot of time trying to put money together that is not coming together. And yet what you need to do with it, you are not achieving that as well. That is not how to manage financial risk. Evaluate the possibility of outsourcing. Sometimes I might have a supply transaction and I really do not have the wherewithal to be able to put it together. I can ask somebody who has, to do that supply, and then we split, the income, from there. So you're not losing anything. So you can manage your financial risk in such a manner. Then make a budget. Many businesses don't make budgets. They just run, they just go with the flow. That's not how business is run. You need to make a budget and you need to, with discipline, stick to it. Very, very important for that. And then sometimes your staff costs may be a bit high, or your cost for the need of expertise may be a bit high. Why don't you find people to volunteer? It was a volunteer that built our website, just like that. Because we couldn't afford to pay, somebody to do it. And volunteer, we had a volunteer who said, okay, let me do it. We were supposed to be like a guinea pig, for the volunteer. Person had gone to do training and needed, a source to be able to now do the practicals. And we were the practical. To the glory of God, it's still there. So you can explore volunteer programs, and they can help you to reduce your cost. Human risk. Human risk to your business sometimes, which we do not consider, is what we call key person risk. Key person risk is maybe the major and most important person in the business, which may be a director, the executive director, the chief executive, the managing director, and all of that. And if it was a business that was a family business partnership between a spouse, those are the things that play out. Sometimes as a result of divorce, there will be so much rancor, and the business affected. Sometimes it is the demise of a chief executive or the major financier of that business. That business just, goes down. Or maybe there is a disability and the person can no longer run the business. So the impacts of these 3 Ds can be very devastating, very, very devastating. Other human risks that you might face are maybe from your employees, incompetence. You yourself, you have poor skills, or your employees have poor skills, where there is loyalty, where there is carelessness, where there are accidents. These are all human risks that a business may face. And it's good for every business person to consider all of these kind of risks. How do you manage human risks? Build a good team. Share your business vision. When people understand where you are going, they can follow you there. But we just hire people, we don't tell them anything. So that's how they just follow us in the dark. And we are wondering why they don't have initiative. They cannot build initiative when they don't have information, when they don't have knowledge. Also, the chief executive needs to obtain, develop, and practice good people skills. Many business owners don't know how to manage their employees. Employees need somebody that can manage them and care for them.
Wow.
So those are some of the human. The final one is institutional risks. The risks that come as a result of the business institutions that support your business, the banks, the government, organizations, input suppliers, and other risk providers. So if there is a policy of government that is unfavorable, it is a risk. There is a risk that government can have unfavorable policy, and then unpredictable changes in policy as well. Banks too can change their policy. All of a sudden, they say they want BVN. Please just give me some minutes. Banks will say they want BVN. You did not prepare for it. So you have to have time to go to the bank and go sort out, such issues. Some of those things are risks. So you can manage your business risk by looking for business models that can help you to manage those risks. Like I mentioned, vertical integration that allows you to own your supply chain. You can control your supply chain. And that's what a lot of businesses are doing. So I have a business, I produce maybe a plantain. I have a factory that processes my plantain. I have an outlet that sells my plantain products. So I'm owning my supply chain. Very important. Also, the financial institutions, make sure that your cash flow, don't joke with your cash.
Sorry to cut you in there, ma. Sorry to cut you there, ma. We're running out of time. Then maybe you could just in few minutes just help us wrap up, ma, so that we'll go.
That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do.
Thank you very much.
So, and then you can, when you experience changes in the services that you are getting from your service providers, what do? You simply ensure that you have contracts. When you have contracts, it helps everybody. A lot of the times, it helps everybody to behave, and everybody finds stability in the business. And then government policies. Always look at the worst case scenario in your business. What's the worst case scenario? If I go into rice farming, government opens its borders for smuggled rice to come in. What's my worst case scenario? You need to always address such. Keep your ears to the ground. Always look forward to government policies. Follow what is happening in National Assembly. Follow what is happening by the ministers. Follow what is happening in your state, and you will discover that you can manage your business better. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mrs. Edobong Akpabio. Thank you very much, ma. Great section regarding risk management, and also a fantastic session regarding ways, just finding out ways to identify risk. And then you can't do business without risk management. And she has made us understand that you can't do business without evaluating the level of harm that a particular risk can bring to your business. And you have to also plan to, you talked about planning to minimize this risk, and also you broke down the risk into different segments. You talked about market risk, you talked about production risk, you talked about financial risk and all that. So it also boils down to the fact, I remember talking about in the market risk, if you're not careful, sales can drop. If you don't draw your analytics, you don't put out your numbers in realistic figures, not just to be over optimistic or to be over pessimistic, but make it very much realistic as to what is happening currently in the market. And if you don't have that numbers, if you don't have those numbers well stated, definitely is going to affect your sales, is definitely going to affect your production and all that. You have to also draw out realistic marketing plan and realistic marketing plan. You can't sell to all and sundry. Your product can't be in every doorstep. It's practically impossible. Why? Because you have people, you have competitors. Even if you're a monopolist, there is hardly any way you can sell to everyone. So you have to draw out this risk and make sure the numbers are realistic. And also you talked about financial risk, how to build good relationship to be able to get access to credit facilities. So for instance, if you know your suppliers, you can also get products from them in on credit. And how do you build this relationship to make sure, okay, you don't go into risk for adventure, you have you don't have enough resources, you're down your books and all that, you can ask for, still get product from your suppliers. And how do you manage all this risk for interest rates on the product, on the loans you're getting from all these financial institutions and all that? It's been a fantastic section. Thank you very much, madam. Thank you very much for everything. You just heard from Mrs. Edobong Akpabio, and she has made us understand everything we need to know about risk management. And it will be very much risky if you not click on the link for you to join our community, for you to join the community of smart entrepreneurs, for you to join a community where you could share ideas, you could break boundaries in the entrepreneurship landscape, and also go into one or two partnerships. You've heard about partnership, you've heard about risk management, you've heard about meeting people, great networking, and that is what you can do on on our tribe, on the smart entrepreneur tribe, the community. You just click on the link and it will redirect there. And also, just to inform you, we are trending at a point where number one on Twitter. I think we're still number one right now. So you can also make sure the community, smartpreneur community is interactive. You could draw out, you could send your questions to the different hashtags that are there. We have Smartpreneur Webinar Series is a hashtag. Smartpreneur Webinar is also a hashtag. Agribusiness is a hashtag. Go there and share, make it very much interactive, and collaborate with different people on the social space. So you should make it very much interactive and engaging. And we are moving to the question and answer segments. And I remember telling you guys to just write down your questions and put it down on the Zoom platform, and it will definitely pop up. And we'll have time to ask all our amazing and distinguished speakers different questions. And so we are moving straight down to the question and answer segment. It's forwarding these questions to Mr. Alabi. I doubt if Mr. Alabi is available, because he said he won't be online to the end of the show or to the end of the webinar. So what we're going to do is that we will redirect the question to other panelists and see how they can make sure they do justice to this question. So Mr. Odeni is asking, because Mr. Alabi said some banks have financial packages for starters, and what's the name of the bank and the financial project under which they finance small scale agripreneurs? And so it's trying to find out different banks that finance small scale agripreneurs. I remember one of our speakers, Mr. Sam Afolabi, he made mention of a particular bank. So I would love to redirect that question to Mr. Sam Afolabi. He made mention of Sterling Bank, and he said Sterling Bank is doing some amazing things for agripreneurs, for people in the agri value chain, for people in the agri sector. He's asking what's the name and the link to the grants, different grants in as regards financing in the agri value chain. So I'll be redirecting that question to Ambassador Sam Afolabi. Ambassador Sam Afolabi, thank you very much, sir.
Hi, thank you very much. Again, I'd like to appreciate all the speakers who have spoken. Thank you, madam, for your last session. It was awesome. Thank you so much, ma'am. And for all speakers and, of course, leadership of Smartpreneurs. Well done. Okay, so for the banks that make funds available for farmers, like I said, Sterling Bank, we've had this with them. And that's why I can conveniently mention their name. That we, so, and I think the best response to questions like this is just Google. So just Google bank products in Nigeria that supports agriculture, and you'll be shocked that you see a lot. I heard that Fidelity is doing something in that space too.
Wow.
So all you just need to do is just basically Google. I might not exactly know. Then Providence Bank. Somebody was sharing with me yesterday about Providence Bank. But the best solution or the best response to this question is just Google. Google banking products that fit agro entrepreneurs. You would see a lot, and then you cannot begin to. But what I usually recommend is that most of these banks or most of these people have consultants that can guide you through. So if you walk through their consultants, they know exactly what they're asking for, and it'll be easier for you to just get. You see, people are mentioning Access Bank, First Bank, Diamond Bank. The list is endless. So I think almost all bank does it. I mean, just Google, and then once you know the product that fits in your particular agro business, then get a consultant that can walk you through the process. I think that answers the question.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. You made mention of Sterling Bank and Providence Bank, and Google is your friend. You could get all these information at your beck and call from Google. And for you to find out about different grants, there are different grants. I think fast ways to ensure that we would, if you join the community, you also hear lots and lots of information from different members of the community. That's Smartpreneur community, and you can also ask these questions on IG. That's Smartpreneur NG at Smartpreneur NG. So you could ask lots and lots of all these questions, and there are different grants. Make sure Google is your friend, and just do a couple of research, and you find out, you get some of the answers to these questions. And we have this question from Duru. Some have no zeal, some have no tech experience, some no finance. And just a moment, no finance. But how can any of the speakers elaborate on how the grants and loans can, while categorizing everyone inclusive of the poll earlier sent? Okay, furthermore, Okay. So I think he's just trying to find out about how he can also get access to the grants and loans that some of the speakers talked about. And like we said, the Google is your friend, and you can get some of these answers from the tribe. But then I want to redirect some of these questions to Adama J. Adama. Can you please just inform our participants and make them understand how they can get access to some of all these loans? Because I, to the best of my knowledge, you play around the agro investment space, and so you should have information at the tip of at your fingertips as to how you can get access to some of these loans and CBN grants and all that, because you've done a project with CBN. So, Mr. Adama J. Adama, I would love you to please just shed more light on this. This question is coming from Duru. So, Mr. Adama.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay. Yeah, there are a whole lot of loans out there. I'll start with what we do. We have loans for farmers.
Okay.
Right. We have loans for farmers who are on our platform.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we do, there's what we call cluster farming, where farmers aggregate together, get one piece of land, and then provide all their necessary KYC.
Okay.
And then we go ahead to give them loan, but we don't give it as cash. We give the loan as farm input.
Okay, farm input, as they get it in kind.
Yeah. Yes, all the farm inputs they need, and then we give the money for the farm labor, and then our farm manager supervise them. And once they are done, they can sell it to us as off-takers, and then we also get produce in return instead of cash. So we have what we call cluster farming, and that can come in handy. That's number one. And then number two, that's number one. Then number two, Anchor Brewers program of CBN is still something that is delivering. If they can organize themselves into cooperatives, they can still access such loans. So the loans are available are not for individuals who don't have collateral. They are for social groupings like
under the Anchor Brewers program.
Yeah, under the Anchor Brewers program and all of that. It's very hard for a financial institution to trust an individual because Nigerians have a very bad attitude towards loan. Literally, we see loans as free money to spend. And then it's not about giving out of the loan, it's about loan repayment. And that's the main issues we face. So Farm for Me has loan, and Bible as Agribusiness has loan for farmers, but you must organize yourself into a cluster and then access the loan. Yeah, that's the much I know.
Okay. Yeah. So a question. This question is also coming from what's the name? Just a moment. So this question is coming from. Okay. We don't have name yet, but then the person is asking how he or she can. What exactly is the maturity period for your investment? So, for instance, if I invest X and X amount of money, how long does it take for me to get my, I don't want to call it dividend, but my interest, my return on the investment and making on Farm for Me? So, and also the average maturity period for most agro investment, because I'm sure this person wants to participate passively as an investor in the agri space.
All right. For Farm for Me's contract farming, the investment duration is 6 months.
Okay.
And the investment sum varies from one crop to another. The least being maize, 227,000 naira per hectare, and the maximum being melon, egusi, going for 205,125 naira per hectare. So you multiply by the number of hectares you subscribe to, and then at maturity of 6 months, you get back your principal and your profit as agreed in the contract document. That's what we do there. And then on Viable X, which is a commodity trading platform, you can invest as low as 100,000 naira in our commodity export business.
Okay.
And then the investment duration is 4 months. So in 4 months, you get your principal back, and then you get 35% profit. And we've been delivering so far. We've not owed one investor.
Okay. So you heard him right here. He said in 4 months, you get your principal back, and they've been delivering right from the very start. Now, we also have a question from Mrs. Edobong Akpabio. You talked about risk management and how we can, what we should put in place to manage our risk. And also you talked about insurance companies. Now, speaking of insurance companies, a lot of them are bleeding right now, but then nonetheless, I'm sure there are still some great insurance companies very much available on ground. And I'll need you, madam, to just give us a few trusted insurance companies where we can insure our agri businesses, whether it's product, whether it's services, any of them, in any way we're playing in the sector, in the value chain. Which of the insurance companies can you recommend for our listeners?
Thank you very much. You're asking me a very, very difficult question and a very unethical question. I cannot answer that.
Okay.
The Nigerian Insurance Association, the NIA,
Yes, please.
It's a platform you can go check on the insurance companies that are still in business.
Okay.
And then you can, just like you advised earlier, Google them up.
Okay.
Go and find out what they are doing.
Okay.
And I mean, who they are, what's their portfolio. Find out all the things you need to know if they are viable.
Okay.
And then you can work with them.
So
On the other hand,
what
you
are the
have
major things
insurance
you can
brokers.
find out? Sorry.
Their parameters. I would like
Okay.
you to go. I would like you to touch base with an insurance broker.
Okay.
An insurance broker is like your consultant, your insurance consultant.
Yeah.
And they don't charge you. So when you give them your insurance business, it is the insurance company that pays them. But what they will do is give you the kind of valuable information you may not be able to access by yourself. So they can advise you on the insurance companies that you can do business with when they look at the insurance business that you need. So it's good to touch base with an insurance broker. Then I cannot also say here who a good insurance broker is. But if anybody should connect with me offline, I can tell you the insurance broker I use. It's very unethical for me to say, in public like this, which one is good and which one is not good. I cannot say that. I can only say the one that I use.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, madam. So as you can hear, you've heard, you can contact any insurance broker, and she said it is free. Why? Because the insurance company ends paying the broker. So it's a holistic package. It's the value chain is very, 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 one is serving the other is serving the other. And so you don't really need to spend, you don't need to pay so much for you to get access to such fantastic insurance companies. And also, I think for now we have exhausted a few of the questions, or we don't even have time on our side. But then you can continue asking your questions on the Smartpreneur tribe and the Smartpreneur community, and we will definitely answer. You can also send your questions to IG, Instagram handle at smartpreneurng. And also we want to use this opportunity to thank all our speakers and panelists, every one of you. Thank you very much for an amazing time. Thank you very much for setting out these 2 hours, if not more than that, for just spending some time with us and also giving us the best of information we can get from the agri sector and from the agri space, from Mr. Akin Alabi to Ambassador Sam Afolabi to Mr. Adama J. Adama and to Mrs. Edobong Akpabio, the only woman in our midst. We want to say thank you very much for an amazing time. We want to say God bless you richly and also have a fantastic time. For all our participants, we want to say thank you very much for joining us. And we know you had a you definitely had something doing rather than this, but then you had to take out your time to just sip from the cup of thought of our speakers to get the best from them, especially in the agri space. We want to say thank you very much. But then way beyond listening, the best way to appreciate this is also to put it into use, to put it into solid implementation and make sure we transform the Nigerian agri sector and we churn out more jobs. Because currently right now, we said the agri sector provides jobs for 35% of the Nigerian population. How true is that from the FOA? We are definitely seeing that as the transformation is taking place, but then we can do more. A lot of jobs can also be done in the agri sector, and it's not only in the farm. It's not only in the farm. You can go down to the value chain, to the markets. And I remember Ambassador Sam Afolabi talking about trading in the market. So if you're trading in the market, there's huge money in the where you can also sell at this rate. So you want to make sure you take advantage of all these information that our speakers have dished out. I also want to say thank you very, very much. Thank you very much. Mr. Akialabi isn't here. He said he won't be able to stay to the end of the session. So I want to say thank you so much.